Evening all, and welcome to Brian Destroys Everything, Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. This is not a normal night that I do the videos, but I usually do them Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. But with my internet not being functional last night, I decided to postpone my uh, stream until tonight so that it will uh, go out. I have skipped a couple videos recently because of various sleep issues or whatever. I am dealing with an abscess too, so if you notice my mouth uh, looking a little weird, it's something I'm dealing with. So hopefully, hopefully I can see a dentist about it soon. But until then, it's going to look a little weird. Um, I would like to point out that uh, some of the things I talked about a few weeks ago have come to pass. Um, and now I've lost my train of thought. Sorry. Tonight I'm going to talk about privilege. Now, I'm not talking about what you get when you earn something, because that's a different kind of privilege. What I'll talk about is things I've noticed in society where people believe they deserve something, which in a lot of cases they do, but they believe they deserve it without earning it. And that's the kind of privilege we should try to avoid. I'm not saying that you shouldn't come to expect things for doing things. That is an incorrect assumption. If you do something well or you practice at it and you get accolades for it, then by all means expect it. But having an expectation of getting something without actually doing something for it is totally unacceptable. And I won't sugarcoat it. Privilege is, when it comes to privilege and the privilege I'm talking about, it's wholly undeserved. People still do it without even considering what other people are saying or thinking or doing. And so when it comes to that, it's just not, it's not acceptable. I will say, unfortunately, white people are a lot to blame for this. I'm not saying that it's entirely a white thing, because it's not. But when it comes to that, it's part of the reason our society is so fucked up. I mean, you look at the protests for the last couple of months, and no matter what you think about it, these protests are about privilege. Okay. And unfortunately, a lot of, there are a lot of things about the protests that I support, some of them just simply miss the point. And it promotes this kind of privilege that I'm talking about, because you say, well, we deserve this, blah, 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 you should give it to us, blah, blah, blah. And, equality isn't going to happen overnight, because we aren't willing to change ourselves to get to that point overnight. It's not going to happen. I'll give an example. If you look at mask mandates, I look at the mask mandate like this. I don't care about whether I get sick when it comes down to it. So I go without a mask. But when it comes to the people I interact with, which isn't a whole lot of people, but it's enough. And when it comes to the people that I interact with and who they interact with, it's selfish for me to not wear a mask. And it's selfish not to wear a mask because even though you don't care about being sick and getting it out of the way, which I think is a mistake anyway, because this is like COVID is just simply too much like the common cold for it not to be around for a while. But having this particular, having the mindset that, well, I shouldn't have to wear a mask because I don't want to have to smell my own breath. That's an excuse. Not wearing a mask is an excuse to get other people sick, especially given that they've shown that there is a natural resistance to COVID. And I really kind of think that they haven't connected the dots and don't understand that having the resistance to COVID is why so many people are asymptomatic. And if that's the case, then having a mask is even more important. And the expectation that not having to wear a mask is somehow your right as a person is just 100% selfish in that case. So that kind of privilege is why our society is so fucked up as it is, and you can talk about equality and non-discrimination and all that other lovely stuff. But unless you decide to eliminate privilege where people expect something for doing nothing, for just being them, is ridiculous. And saying anything besides, well, I don't necessarily deserve it. I didn't earn it. Some people just like the attention. But if you just assume someone is going to do something for you without having a reasonable expectation about it, is kind of silly, and you see this kind of privilege everywhere. It's not just me saying, well, I ordered my coffee early. I'm going to go and grab it if it's ready. That's a kind of privilege a lot of coffee shops were doing before COVID and are doing now. If you order ahead, you don't have to wait in line, which is okay because you paid for it and they've got it ready for you. But if there's 30 people in line for coffee and you order ahead, that kind of makes you a douche. And I hate to say it that way, but that's really the case. Yeah, you were smart enough to pay for your coffee and order and pay for your coffee in advance, but there are 30 people waiting and you just walking through and grabbing your coffee and going on. Yeah, people will ignore that, but it's part of what I'm talking about. And when we enable that particular kind of behavior, it just heightens the amount of inequality that we have and makes it harder for us to bridge differences that we might be able to without it. All right, I'm going to end the stream relatively early tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. I mean, this is all I have. I will do my next video on Friday. This week is going to be different because of my internet issue yesterday. So my next video will be Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Eastern, or 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Again, thank you for watching and have a great night.